Greetings and welcome everybody to the Jane Live Miracle Medicine on a Thursday, where we discuss practical ways to rejuvenate ourselves, focusing on longevity and anti-aging as opposed to, degeneration and a downward cycle in regard to our health and our cell vitality. So in the recent past, we've been focusing on birth, death, resurrection, evolution of humanity, and following a little bit along the sun and moon cycle, where Aries was a male aspect, Taurus was a female aspect, and then coming up on June the 14th will be the Gemini moon, full sun moon, where we will be looking at the integration of the male and the female. Now, all of this has got to do with evolution. And every year we go through the same cycle and we evolve. And every year we evolve again and we evolve again. So important, hi everyone, just to, focus on each day actually is a birth, a death, and a resurrection. And so if we get into that kind of momentum and understanding, it makes us more present, and we can actually achieve a lot more and, help others achieve too. That's what I think is most importantly. So at 365 Healthy by Choice, and what we do at the center and what we do globally is to realign the body physically, neurologically, emotionally, and spiritually, so that we get that scalar wave organized. We get it balanced, warding off toxicity on any level, be it physical, neurological, emotional, or spiritual, and building the human being, if you like, up to a high vibrational level. And we bring in loads of life force, because life force is vibration, planting our seeds, and come then. July, August, September, there will be the manifestation of this potential energy into kinetic energy. And that's really as simple as I can make it. We do it every year, and we do it lifetime after lifetime. And we want to build beautiful momentum and focus on where we're going and achieving our purpose. And if we're lucky enough to find a collective transformation, groups of people, core groups of people that are like-minded and working with us, I call my top clients, the ones that really push through the threshold, my health avatars. And, so that group of people we really push through and, take things to the next and the next and the next level. And anyone can really be part of that. Somebody will, for example, come in, they buckled over, they can hardly walk, in intense pain with intense inflammation and lots of parasites, autoimmune, lupus, fibromyalgia, you name it. And they push through the threshold, the lights come on, they stand up straight, and when they walk into my practice, I don't recognize them. And this happens many times. So those are the avatars in health. They've decided of all the many facets that need to be pulled together in order to transform yourself and transcend yourself and reach the levels of joy and happiness. And so we've got to push through the various thresholds and understanding. It could be an educational threshold. It could be environmental threshold. It could be relationship threshold. And all of those, it could be food growing thresholds. And each one will be called differently to manifest in different ways, but they all need to be worked out properly. And let's say our relationship towards money, and money is love at the end of the day. And, have we pushed through the threshold there? So I'm really focusing on the avatars. What would you like them to be saying about you? Your name, and this person achieved the following things in their life. And for this we commend them and, send them off to transcend. So what would you like in your eulogy? Very powerful. Sometimes people do that and they even cry. So it's a very powerful thing to do. And then you can, you've got your checklist, I think, and then it's, it's not too difficult to stay on the path. And those people who are battling with, their purpose and everything, focus on your passion. What are those books you love to read? Who are those people you like to be with? The places you like to go? Because that's going to give you enable you to identify your purpose in life and your soul purpose at the end of the day. Which brings me to the point which we're going to be discussing, and that is, gut, the microbiome, and the role of the microbes in our own human evolution, and the role of pain. So I'm actually going to use the most recent client that came through today. Been contacting me on and off, eventually just got on a plane and came straight to see me. Buckled over in pain, huge inflammation, literally from her back down to her toes. So huge amounts of pain and inflammation. She's tried everything. She even has a health group, but she can hardly walk. So she said, Jane, it's getting a bit ridiculous. I live on the beach. I can hardly walk onto the beach. I can definitely not swim. I don't have the strength to swim. It's just, it really is ridiculous right now because I'm telling people what to do and I'm actually doubled over and in pain and with inflammation. And then she said to me, and can you do something about my gut, please, my gastrointestinal tract, because it's blocked. I'm completely constipated. I have brain fog. I'm not thinking clearly, neurologically, emotionally, my cognition is down. And I saw also the diaphragm, because I was using the quantum medicine software, our devices, to see what was going on. The whole diaphragm is buckled over. The transverse colon is over. The stomach is blocked. So it's got to do with her posture. And the more pain she's in, the more she buckles over and the more she blocks digestion. It's estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, out of balance, liver, digestion, bones. Her bones are aching and sore and full of toxins. So that is basic metabolic shutdown, when the body just does shut down. And then, of course, there's low oxygen, high acidity, high inflammation, and the parasites, the funguses, all start living. So this lady was loaded with fungal infection. And that in itself will carry an emotion, and that in itself will cause pain, inflammation, toxicity in the body, as well as the other weird and wonderful toxins that are floating around out there that we do need to get out of our bodies. So I always believe in getting a clean slate, get everything out. Then we know what we're dealing with, and the body can repair itself. So, she's happily left today with some cell vitality oxygen, with a microbiome reset, live probiotic with enzymes, with flaxseed oil to rebuild the gut and the lungs. There's always lung will go with it. Also for the brain, and the liver, and quite a strong herbal parasite cleanse, which I have called Para-Immune Defense. And I am going to go through all of these a little bit one by one, the Para-Immune Defense. All right. And this has got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 top powerful antifungal, antibacterial, anti-yeast, anti-candida. It's got cat's claw, it's got andrographis, it's got astragalus, tahibo, sarsaparilla, knotwood, golden seal, dandelion, and artemisian clove. You can't get more powerful than that. And the powders are much stronger than in any tincture form. Absolutely. So, she's left with those things, her blood group, to eat the right food so that she doesn't add to the constipation, add to the clogged blood, and the clots. Oh, by the way, she had clots as well. She basically had an embolism. She told me she's clotting, and I found the embolism as well. So, in a bit of a state. So she left happily, but also with the direction and knowing what she's doing. And we will measure again in a month, because that is our way of validating progress. It's very much evidence-based medicine, where with there's research, there's measurement, and there's also the client feed, the replica RNA, DNA, the activa stem cells. But next time, because her cell vitality was 2 out of 10, 20%, which means 20% of oxygen and food is going in and 20% of waste and water is leaving. So if you then give somebody nutrients, expensive nutrients, powerful nutrients, the chances are they're going to swim past the cells and not go in. So I prefer, in my first reset phase, is to get the cell vitality up to 80, 90, 100%, and clean the blood, clean all the detox organs, the liver, the kidney, lungs, gut, skin, lymphatic buildup too. And then come in with more of the restoring and rebuilding, and then, end up with the rejuvenation, restore, reset, rejuvenate. That's quite a simple process to follow. And also, you know what you're doing, you know when to give what. So with that in mind, this evening I'm going to be talking on, the role of the gut, the microbes, and pain in human evolution. And everything has a reason. Everything's playing a part. And this lady, for example, who I'm speaking about, has got work to do. She's full of anger. She's full of being dominated. She's not living her full potential emotionally easily. She's resisting change. So now part of this reset is not only physical, it's also neurological, emotional, and spiritual. And she knows what's making her angry. She's also full of fear. She knows what's making her fearful too. So we always put that on a movie, put it in front of us, work with the gut brain, which is not emotional, see the story, see the meaning, and understand what we're supposed to have learned out of the story. And by doing that, we can then shift the anger to joy, or the fear to courage, and take that with us. And then we can literally dispense with the learning, the trials and tribulations, paths of joy and sorrow, act as catalysts to remind you or me of things. And then it's what we then go and do. We will help ourselves. Physician, heal thyself, Hippocrates. So, that's the most important thing. And those are the people that push through the threshold. Those are my health avatars that literally say, I'm going for it. I'm grabbing the whole, bull by the horns, and I'm moving through. And they did it. They happened to follow, but they did it. And they achieved the joy and the everything that goes with it. So it's just really, really beautiful always to see this. So talking specifically about microbes and the gut and our own human evolution, our cells are nowhere the same as our ancestors of 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago. The microbes that are around are not the same either. And our DNA is not the same either, because as we are living on a day-to-day basis and evolving, fulfilling our purpose, the DNA is changing. It's getting to a high vibration, the caterpillar to the butterfly. Same DNA, different representation. So we are constantly evolving on that level. And the microbes actually help us. The microbes come from outer galactic space. Reishi mushroom, the cordyceps, the lion's mane are not earthly substances, living organisms at all. They come from the intergalactic space. Remember, right in the beginning, when everything was getting formed, the algae synthesized out of the atmosphere the nitrogen and became spirulina, for example. They started respiring and created oxygen, and then these spores came down, covered the earth, these huge umbrella fruiting bodies. And the hyphae, the roots, went down into the earth's crust and created about a 30 centimeter earth crust on which we can then grow our fruit, our vegetables, and all the rest of it. Underneath that becomes quite solid, rocky and hard. So these microbes were critical there. And by consuming medicinal mushrooms, the one that we have with the 365, with the shiitake, maitake, lion's mane, cordyceps, chaga, reishi, Coriolis, turkey tail, we are in sync with the earth. We are in sync with evolution and a million other things as well. But they will also work with the gut microbiome to transform us. The microbes that you find in the microbiome reset, for example, there are 80 to 120 live strains and substrains as well. We don't talk about colony forming units because that is a synthetic man-made probiotic where they have to have extraordinary high colony forming units of the various strains, and you can't really get more than 12 anyway. So normally it's only 2 strains. We have 80 to 120, for example, that are brewed naturally, fermented naturally, and in sync again with the earth, with time, with our time crystal, to evolve humanity. And remember also, we are a 90% microbial. We are 99% of our genes are the genetic material of microbes, all right, the beneficial bacteria, fungi, and yeasts. So we have to have them in us, not only for immunity, but for evolution. Very, very important. Our ancestors would, actually, they moved the gut outside of them onto the table. I'm just talking a bit figuratively here. And they put idly on the table. They put miso soup on the table. They put fermented kefir on the table. They would put sauerkraut on the table to not only assist with digestion and with the live enzymes and so on, but as an evolutionary medicine. We kind of forgot that. Every now and then when we remember, we'll have a bit of microbiome reset or some kimchi or sauerkraut or miso or idly or whatever. All very important. So the fermentation process is important, and you can't really heat them. If you heat the microbes, they die. If you put the microbes in the fridge, they die. The live ones. I'm not talking about the manufactured ones. So we have to always work with nature, with room temperature. And I always say as well, if you're going to eat sauerkraut or kimchi, make your own, because as you're making it, the intelligence of the microbes is reading your excesses and your deficiencies, and it will be made as medicine for you. Same as when you plant your seeds. You hold it, you put it in your mouth for a while, then you put it in the sand. It will grow as medicine for you, because the intelligence of the seed will also read your excesses and your deficiencies. Anyway, just saying. And the seed also needs the beneficial bacteria, fungi, and yeasts to germinate and to grow. So these are highly, highly sophisticated, beneficial organisms, along with the medicinal mushrooms, the blue-green algae, spirulinas, chlorellas, the bee pollens, and so on, to educate us and to shift us along in our evolution. Now, let's take our lady who's riddled with pain and inflammation, got gut constipation, which is linked to the brain always with memory loss, cognition, brain fog, etc. It's actually quite easy to get her right, because what we need to do is detoxify her completely and build up the microbiome, bring in a load of oxygen. We use a lot of our flaxseed oil because, remember, for the gut and the lungs and the reproductive area, apart from the brain and the omegas and everything, and apart from setting the cell membrane, it clears the cell membrane to the proton and the neutron and any other oil. So life force equals electron spin. Okay, and it equals happiness, because if you got life force, you're happy. You don't have to read any book on happiness. You know it. You got it. And the microbes will also make us feel contented, happy, and grateful. They bring in those characteristics, as opposed to a terrible fungus, a terrible candida, a terrible parasite, a terrible bacteria that will bring in a negative emotion. All right, they will make you feel sad, depressed, rejected. So part of the restoring of the physical, neurological, emotional, and spiritual is to restore the whole cell on all those levels and get everything fully operating and functioning properly. So the basic steps with the gut cleanse, and that's what I have on special at the moment. I've got the probiotic and the cell oxygen capsules, magnesium oxide, right? 1 magnesium, 2 oxygen molecules would split off in the intestine. The oxygen by osmosis transfers through, the magnesium relaxes the gut. And that's going to help release emotions too. Because part of pain and inflammation is muscle constriction, and the nerves getting also afraid. And, then the bones get affected. They get sore. The pain comes in. I'll talk about pain in a moment. So this is what I put on a special right now as a get-go. When we do store pop-ups, this is a get-go, all right, because this oxygen is going to do amazing things in the gut, in the blood, transfer to the brain. It's going to start cleaning. The microbes are going to imprint positively on the genetics of the body, on every single cell, the microbiome. And in fact, the intelligence is in the gut. So that is where our emotional intelligence sits, and we need to operate from there. And if we don't have these in the gut, we've got a big problem. If we're full of parasites and so on. So some of you might be saying, but what about the cell vitality? Yes, you can use this one too. So most people will walk out with the cell vitality, oxyminerals, and the microbiome reset for the gut. They will definitely walk out with the flaxseed oil, with high life force. Oh, incidentally, means spiral galaxies. It's incredible. It just looks amazing. So these things, as I said, are alive and they're moving. So we're going to bring oxygen. We're going to bring a microbiome reset in. Now remember, also, pain and inflammation was also part of this lady's issue, but serious, chronic. All right. So the magnesium will help relax her too, and so will everything else. But also what's important, not part of the special, but important, you can either use the DMSO, our declot shot, or you can use the powdered form in capsule of the MSM. So that sulfur molecule is very important for detoxification. As well as the oxygen, obviously, and the probiotics will also scavenge heavy metals and clear. Remember, it's got live enzymes in it as well. So this has got our live enzymes. When they clean the sewer or an oil slick on the ocean, they will use microbiome reset and digestive enzymes to clean. So we want to bring in a sulfur, especially for pain. So pain and inflammation, we use oxygen and we use DMSO, dimethyl sulfoxide, and we use the MSM, either these two. But you need a lot of the MSM. You need about a tablespoonful, moving up to 3 tablespoonfuls easily twice a day. So we have these wonderful products that I would also add in. Digestive enzymes for sure. If the people are not breathing properly, the hydrochloric acid is going to be low as well if they're stressed. So then you really can't digest protein, and you do get deposition disease of lipids and proteins, and also calcification in the body. And what else would we bring in? Yes, and then I told you about this para-immune defense, which has got 7 of the top herbs that will absolutely kill parasites. By the way, this lady was bitten by a tick a year ago, and she's just had a downward spiral. She also got vaxxed. Downward spiral of health. So we want to kill whatever shouldn't be in the body. We're going to get fermentation, not positive fermentation as in terms of our probiotics, but you're going to get, with a byproduct of alcohol and that kind of thing in the gut. And so then you get the worms and more parasites. There's never one. Don't ever come to me and say, they have identified Clostridium, they have identified H. pylori. That's one. There's going to be a whole host. There's always a host of them. So we've got to get rid of them with the herbs and the oxygen and the probiotics and the oil, of course. Worms and that hate oil. So if you want to shoot the worms out, a couple of tablespoons of castor oil or the flaxseed oil, turpentine oil, you'll get them out very easily and very quickly. But they cause damage to the gastrointestinal lining, which also causes pain. So the replica RNA DNA actually repairs the gut. All right, it's basically coenzyme A, T, C and G, all four, not only one. It's basically coenzyme of A, C, T, and G. All right, just so that you know that. But apart from resetting the human genome, replica RNA will repair the gut, actually, and the brain and every single cell because it's got the building block genetic code. So I do like to bring this in, especially if there's leaky gut. And the gut cleanse is quite good too because it will also rebuild. It's got things like comfrey and bee pollen and parsley and caraway and ginger and peppermint and kelp and the turmeric, stinging nettles, spirulinas, and so on, slippery elm, triphylla. So triphylla is a wonderful 3-fruit enzymes, and very good for the gut and the blood. So the triphylla is very important too. We also have it on its own. So now we're looking at human evolution. We're protecting ourselves from the wonderful toxins that are out there, but also knowing that the food we are eating, the organic food that we're eating and so on, is in sync with the earth, the soil, the microbes in the soil, the air, the planetary movement, the arc that the planets form over the earth every single day. I was at a lady this morning who wants to set up a beautiful falling down on a day-to-day basis. Don't ever forget about that because that is very high nutrition. And also from intergalactic space. And that is shifting our DNA. It is shifting us and our DNA. Very, very, very important. If you're eating over-processed food, 3 days old food and so on, that's going to have a negative effect on your evolution as a human. So that's what we want to do lots and lots and lots of. And so we've the gut, the microbes, and all of that have got a critical role in our food, in our evolution. But so is pain and discomfort, because it's in a way our soul saying to us, shift, move, change. I'm bringing in this pain because you are not letting go of your anger or your fear or your submissiveness, and that will bring pain. So we must always recognize pain is what's the lesson, what's the learning, where do I need to shift. So together, I just thought it's quite a good combination to look at, building our evolution, but taking care of pain, suffering, the trials and the tribulations. So the question really is, how long does one want to stay in the trial and lick the wounds and not move on to the tribulations and the joy and the happiness? And that, I think, is definitely dependent on one's awareness, on our willingness to surrender. Some people want to hold on to that anger. They want to lick that wound forever. But I think if you can get to the cognitive, logical space of, is it serving me? You will quickly be able to see that it's not serving you. Once the person has seen it's not serving them, then you can put the movie up and say, right, well, let's have a look. It's not about he said, she said, I'm blaming this or whatever. No matter how severe, what is the golden gift that I needed to get out of this? Okay, I needed to experience betrayal so that I could learn trust. I needed to experience, severe unhappiness so that I could experience joy. And so on, how to experience that intense fear so that I could move up into courage. And I mean, that's really the beginning and end of all of this. And our gut is critical because that's the brain we need to use. All right, the third brain, not the to get that operating properly, get the blood clean, the liver clean, the brain clean, get all of that happening, get the body oxygenated, get the inflammation out, and the acid out, and more of an alkaline space, which will be a calmer person. So the almost gold also does that. The gold, silver, copper, nickel, cobalt, iridium, palladium, osmium, rhodium, etc. So that will cross the blood-brain barrier, as does the DMSO, as does the cell vitality oxygen, as does the flaxseed oil, the probiotic cleanup, and remove the toxins. that will prevent us from being calm. And then meditation is so much easier. Peace is so much easier. And we can let go of those things that are blocking our peace and our contentment, and really, really think clearly. So as you can see, the role of the gut, our evolution, the role of pain. If there's pain, I'm telling you, there's going to be an emotion. And it's your soul pressing down on you to say shift. Shift that one emotion so that we don't have to bring the pain in. So I think that's what I wanted to share with you mainly. And please have a look on the website and then in the groups that I post in and on Facebook and so on, because the special is there. There's a link you can press on. You go straight to the probiotic and the cell oxygen. Gosh, there's a 10% saving on it right now, which will probably cover your delivery anyway. And get on with it. It's the get-go. Let's start there and start seeing the light, and then we can add other things in as well. As I said, I wouldn't leave out the flaxseed oil, definitely not. I wouldn't leave out one of the sulfurs, either the DMSO or the MSM. I would definitely bring that in. Then stop sweets, because sweets, white rice, white bread, any white potato, any white carbohydrate, biscuits, fizzy drinks and so on, are you just going to feed the parasites? You will never get rid of them. I mean, I've got people texting me now. My phone is full because we've been, promoting the special, and, we've got to heal that gut. We've got to get those parasites out. Even sweet fruit is a problem. Bananas, help them become health avatars, help them push through the threshold. And that's where, your human interaction as therapists, as friends, people running their own health groups, you need to walk your talk, because that will bring in authenticity. So getting back to the lady today, she was basically saying to me, I'm not being authentic because I'm doubled over. I'm not walking properly. I'm in extreme pain. My gut's blocked. And so is my diaphragm, because I'm just not breathing properly either. So I think when someone bottoms out like that, the takeoff is huge. Good. So food for thought. And then on the 12th of June, we're going to have the Festival of Humanity and Human Evolution. And I think it's going to be a culmination in many instances of this whole year of all my work, of all the presentations. And I look forward to people coming and bringing and sharing and enjoying a beautiful day in the sun, hopefully, with the birds and the air, and, just being very present. And, let's see what comes, where we go from there exactly, because it's going to be, as I said, the integration now of the male and the female in a whole person, and using our gut brain to move forward and manifest the potential energy into the kinetic energy. Okay, so until next week, have a great week, and just sharpen up your gut feel. Get really, really pointed on that, and let's drive the confusing emotions out. Any questions, you can welcome to WhatsApp, text me. You're welcome to put the information on the groups as well. Okay. See you soon. Bye. Oh, I see there's one chat, I think. Okay. Thank you. Pleasure. Thank you guys for coming. And it's always an honor to have everyone from, around the world and global